So today I'm going to walk everyone through how to take a full screenshot, how to take a partial screenshot of the screen, and also how to get the path of the cropped image or actually the screenshot you just took. So let's get right into it. We're going to start a new project. We're going to do a single view. Test screenshot. Obviously Swift, we'll do iPhone, and I don't touch anything else. Save it wherever. Alright, so start off with, let's go into the storyboard here. I like to change it so that it's all iPhone and make it look like I do the big iPhone screen so I can see what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is throw a couple things on the actual screen here so we can see what the screenshot's going to look like. So I'm going to do a couple labels. Let's do one there. We'll do one in the middle somewhere. And we'll do one down below. Again, this is just so we can make sure that the entire screenshot's being captured. And we're also going to put a button in here to create the action for taking the screenshot. So this is going to be take screenshot. Somewhere there. That's fine. Alright, and something else I also like to do is I'll put a text field in here so that when I am testing it, I can determine what I'm actually testing. So I'll just do a quick description of the screenshot while I'm in the middle of it. I'll show you that in a second. So now let's go up to the assistant editor because we're going to put an action to that screenshot. Go and put it down here somewhere. So again, click on it, the actual button, control and drag it. This is going to be take screenshot. It's going to be an action. We want to do our button, and we'll do touch up inside. I'm not sure why that's there. That was probably from when I was doing a demo for it earlier, at least testing it. Alright, so now let's actually go take out of Assistant Editor. Let's actually go into our actual view controller and type some code for doing the actual screenshot. Again, these are all here from when I was messing with it earlier. We're getting the same errors, not errors, but get the same things that pop up because we're actually going to be able to mutate or change the image each time you do it instead of just once. So I always like to say where I'm at. Take screenshot. Start full screenshot. Alright, now we're going to do a UI graphics. begin image context, and then we're going to go ahead and do the entire view dot frame dot size. All right, we're going to say view dot layer dot render and context UI graphics get current context. Then we're going to create a variable for our source image. And then we go to the UI graphics image from current context. Now then we're going to do a UI graphics and image context. And last but certainly not least is the UI image write saved photos to album, and we're going to write the source image, comma, you're here, no, no, no. I don't like all this stuff. I have to type it in and then delete everything I don't need. And that's pretty much it to start with. So let's run that and see if we've got our full screenshot. I usually like to do iPhone 6 Plus. That's typically what I personally have. So let's run. Again, on my apps, I typically have it to where you could change or take multiple screenshots of the app itself, or an actual separate partial screenshot, depending on what you want to save. So this will pop up saying, hey, do you want to change this to let to make it a constant? Like, no, I actually like to keep it as a variable. Again, unfortunately, mine's a little slower. Something I actually forgot to do, I like to change the background color to a gray or an off color so I can see exactly where the text box is, because I didn't do it this time, but we'll do it on the next round. Come on. Every once in a while, the first time I run this, it doesn't go through all the way. So I am going to stop it. I do want to change that to gray so we can actually see what we're looking at. And now let's go ahead and run it again. Again, I don't know why its simulator's been pretty slow lately. Since I upgraded the new Xcode, it's been very slow. If I could figure out how to pause the video, I would, but finally, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and type in here Again, so when I take the full screenshot, I can type into each one and say exactly what I'm taking the screenshot of or what I'm testing. So this is going to be a full screenshot. Take the screenshot, and again, it actually printed to the console. So let's go ahead and go check out our picture. And there we have the full screenshot. So now, let's go back in. Let's do partial screenshot. Again, I like to print out to make sure it gets to that code. Partial screenshot. Alright, so we do the exact same thing again. UI, graphics, begin an image context. I'm going to do the same view, dot frame, dot size. Now this is where it changes a little bit. I'm going to do the source image, dot draw at point. And this is where I'm going to make it a CG point. Make. And let's do like -25, -100. So this is basically start the partial screenshot at 25 down. Sorry, 25 to the right and 100 down. And that's also why I put multiple labels and stuff all across the screen so I can see exactly where it's going to. Alright, we're going to get another variable. We're going to call this the cropped image. Same thing as before, UI, graphics, get image from current image context. And UI, graphics, and image context. Why does it not like you? Ah. I forgot closing bracket there. I don't want a comma on a closing bracket. Okay, so again, we're going to get the variable error, but again, if you want to change and make sure that it's always a variable in your apps, which I like to do, I just go ahead and ignore the error. Let's run that. And I'm doing a partial screenshot of the entire view. If you have, say, a map view or something like that, obviously you would just change that to your map view or whatever view you're currently working with. Alright, so we're going to make this full screenshot and a partial screenshot. Take it. So we got the screenshot and the partial screenshot. Something I forgot to mention, if this is the first time you're running it, it will pop up to say, do you want to allow the simulator to access your photos? You obviously would say yes. Alright, so let's go over here, let's go home. There's our full screenshot. And did our partial not come up? Ah, duh. Okay, so let's stop this. I kind of forgot to add the UI image. Alright, to save album. Obviously we want to save the cropped image, and this time we'll do it the easy way, or what the way they want you to. Alright, so let's try that again. I've forgotten to add that one line multiple times. I can never figure out what it is, what the problem is, but it does happen. Again, I don't know why this thing is so slow today. Alright, so let's try this again. We're going to do a full screenshot with partial screenshot 2. Hit screenshot. So obviously it went through. Let's make sure it wrote them both. There's our two new ones. So obviously there's the full screenshot 2. Next image. Again, it went over 25 and down 100. So again, it went over slightly, down 100. So now, last thing, a lot of times you want to be able to access that file later on. So I'm going to show you how to write the path, or get the path 1 and then turn around and write the path again. So let's do a add path. I can't spell today. Before we do this, we do need to do two things. We need to, basically, we're going to be using the assets library. Let's go in here and let's link this up to save the actual address and to get it. So let's add the assets library. Again, build phases, link binary libraries, assets library. Let's go back in. And something I have forgotten to do multiple times as well is actually import the assets library. Okay, back to the adding the path. Let's do a variable. Let's call it image data. And that's going to be a UI image JPEG representation. The image is going to be the cropped image, and I usually use a float of 0.6. Again, we're going to be saving the cropped image to, or we're going to be saving the path, or getting the path to the cropped image itself. We'll do another variable. We're going to do a compressed JPG image, and that's going to be equal to UI image data of the image data. Okay, so what we're going to do is obviously we want to write that to the, or you use the assets library to write that compressed image. path into the actual memory. So we're going to do an AL, AL assets library. And then we're going to do a dot write image to saved photo albums, saved photo album. We're going to use the compressed JPEG image dot CG image, comma. And again, I probably could be using all this, but orientation is going to be a oh my gosh, I can't type. It's going to be a completion block. Sorry. Okay, let me get rid of this stuff down below because this ends up. It's easier again just to type it. Open bracket. Path. I'm trying to remember this. That's not, alright, no, that's wrong. That would be something wasn't picking up there. AL asset orientation. And we're going to call it a raw value. Instead of an ant, we're going to do the compressed JPEG image. Image orientation raw value. Okay. See, something wasn't feeling right. The next one is going to be the completion block. Again, once we get all this done, it'll make a little more sense. Path NSURL. And of course you have an error, you've got an NS error. And we're going to bring that back as a void end. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the path. I'm going to do a couple different things here. And that'll show us in the actual console itself. But what I always usually like to do is do a variable pick path as a string equals, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save it to an NSDefaults so that I can grab it later. And then go ahead and do my NSUserDefaults dot standard user defaults dot set object path set object. Of course, I want my pick path for key, and I usually name it something like my pick path key. Pick path key. And I tend to use key whenever I'm doing this. It's just easier to use. And again, we have to close that out. And let's do a print here. Print. Adding path. What did I forget? AL asset library, write image data, save full, compress image. Orientation. Should be fine. It shouldn't actually be popping up. Orientation and metadata. I haven't done that. Okay, we'll try that, but I don't really like the way that's set up. No, I didn't think so either. I'll tell you what. Let's see if that's different from the last time I did it, which it shouldn't be. Because I just set this up in my last project. With no issues at all. So assets, write saved to photo album, compressed image, set CG image orientation, AL asset orientation, raw value. Alright, all the exact same thing, but for some reason it didn't like it when I typed it in. But you can obviously see that it does work. Alright, so let's run it again. So what I'm doing again, I'm saving that compressed image, I'm sorry, the partial screenshot to the camera roll, and then I'm trying to get the actual path to that cropped image. And then I turn around and took the path and then save it into a NSUserDefaults. Again, you get a lot of these never mutated, but if you're going to use them over and over in the same app, or you want someone to choose different ranges of screenshots, just use it as a variable and it makes it a lot easier. You still have to go through all the warnings, but I'd prefer that than them not being able to change the actual image in there. So this is going to be a full screenshot and partial screenshot with path. And there you have, well, obviously you know the screenshot works, but now you've got the adding path, your assets library, so that's the actual path again of the cropped image. So we put the cropped image into the image data. You could turn around and use the entire source image, which would be the full screenshot, and get the path to that as well if you wanted. So, but overall, this shows you how to get a full screenshot, a partial screenshot, and how to, 1, get the path, and 2, save it to an NSDefaults.